Today I'm going to share my experience using anamorphic lenses with Leica cameras and also Lumix cameras. Coming up, why you should try anamorphic lenses for photography and how I captured my most liked photo of 2025. Everything you need to know when taking photos with anamorphic lenses and how you can instantly make your videos look more cinematic. I'll include a quick overview of anamorphic lenses versus the spherical lenses which we normally cover on this channel. And then thanks to Sirui, I'm going to share with you a small, lightweight, affordable anamorphic lens for Leica L-mount. Spoiler, despite loving Leica cameras, at the end of this video I'll explain why Leicas are perhaps less suited for anamorphic lenses. Hey guys, Matt here from Leica.com. If you're a new viewer, I'm normally reviewing Leica cameras and doing various lens reviews. Normally I talk about standard spherical lenses, so I thought it was about time we covered anamorphic lenses. Thanks to Sirui, you can now buy L-mount anamorphic lenses to fit on your Leica SL series cameras, so I thought now is the perfect time to make the video. Before I show you photos and videos with anamorphic lenses, let's first cover the difference between anamorphic lenses and standard lenses. The first thing you may notice when looking at anamorphic lenses is they have T-stops, not f-stops. F-stops are basically an approximation of the light passing through the lens, whereas T-stops are the actual measurement of the light passing through the lens and hitting the sensor. So f-stops are often rounded up to the nearest number, say f2.8, but in this case the lens we're looking at today is T2.9 because that's the actual value. The second big difference with anamorphic lenses compared to spherical lenses is they squeeze a wider field of view horizontally onto your sensor. That gives you that classic Panavision look with the black bars top and bottom. And anamorphic lenses are perhaps best known for that classic blue flare streaks across your image or that waterfall long oval bokeh ball shape. Anamorphic lenses have a squeeze factor often between 1.33 and 2 times. If we take 2 times as an example, this means if the lens is a 50mm lens, it has the height of a standard 50mm spherical lens but the width of a spherical 25mm lens. Modern examples of 2 times squeeze lenses will be something like the Blazer Katos or the DZO Film Pavo lenses. Each factor has its own benefits. We'll cover this at the end. So to recap, if we take the 50mm Sirui lens that I'm using, it's a 50mm height, but it's got a 1.6 crop factor. So that means you divide 50 by 1.6, which gives you a width of 31mm. Now the question is, how do you compose and process images when shot with an anamorphic lens? Let's cover that next. If like me you love classic lenses, you're probably always on the lookout for lenses that give you a unique look. Anamorphic lenses have been on my radar since around 2013, but only recently have they become compact and affordable thanks to companies like Sirui. We'll get onto the lens in a few minutes, but first, how do you take photos with anamorphic lenses? I mentioned that I'm using the L-mount Sirui lens, so that means it mounts straight onto my Leica SL2S camera without needing any adapters. If you're using Leica M cameras, currently there are not that many options, but stay tuned because M-mount anamorphic lenses are definitely in the pipeline. Now when using anamorphic lenses on your camera, some cameras are better suited than others. Cameras such as the Lumix S9 offer you anamorphic IBIS and anamorphic D-squeeze in camera, whereas sadly Leica cameras such as the Leica SL series cameras don't offer such features. If you're using a 1.33 crop or maybe at a push a 1.6 factor crop lens, you can still roughly approximate your final photo even though the image looks stretched in your viewfinder. Another way to do it is to attach a camera monitor to your Leica camera, such as the Viltrox DC-A1 and Portuguese 5-inch monitor that I use. I'll put links to those below if you're interested. So once I've captured my images with the anamorphic lens, first I process the raw images through Lightroom. I'll apply my preset, pick a few favourites and then open those in Photoshop. In Photoshop I then need to de-squeeze the image to give me the correct proportions. Let's say your image is 6000 by 4000 pixels, you simply divide the height by the crop factor and click apply. So 4000 divided by the 1.6 crop factor gives you 2500. This photo was taken on my first outing with this lens and it's now my most liked photo on Flickr for 2025. Captured with my Leica SL2S and Sirui 52.9 lens, you'll probably see this in next month's newsletter. If you don't get my newsletter, I'll put a link to that below. More recently I've been enjoying the Sirui lens on my Lumix S9 and I'll share some images from my recent trip at the end of this video. So as you can see, photography with anamorphic lenses is perhaps a bit of a pain when it comes to the processing, but the results can be very rewarding. I'd say that perhaps the main reason to buy an anamorphic lens is not for photos but for video. Let's cover that next. So if you asked the child to identify cinematic movie footage compared to, say, normal TV footage, they'd probably point at the video that had the black bars on the top and the bottom. I think this is ingrained into our brains as we grow up with movies, and so as soon as you see black bars above and below a video, it automatically looks more cinematic. Yes, you could apply black bar overlays to spherical lens footage, but it's still going to lack two key qualities. Well, three. First, anamorphic lenses give you that classic horizontal streak, but yes, I guess you could try and fake it with like a blue streak filter. Second, anamorphic lenses give you that iconic waterfall bokeh shape, like the oval bokeh balls. And then third, if you've got a really keen eye, you get more distortion and imperfections that come with good anamorphic lenses. After only a few weeks of using anamorphic lenses, I'm already completely obsessed. A shout out to fellow YouTuber Cam Mackey for his awesome content when it comes to anamorphic lenses. Now when it comes to shooting video and processing video, it's identical to what you do with stills. The main difference is you're going to resize your footage in something like DaVinci Resolve instead of Photoshop. If you're looking to make any video project look that bit more cinematic, just shoot it with an anamorphic lens. I just came back from completing a coast-to-coast charity bike ride with 7 other riders, so I took this lens and made a video rig for the trip. I'll put a full highlights reel on Patreon if you're interested, and I'll link below to the charity if you'd like to support the cause. So onto the lens. Sirui kindly sent me their Sirui Saturn 50mm T2.9 lens to review, so let me tell you a bit more about it now you have a basic understanding of anamorphic lenses. The Sirui Saturn lenses are available in 3 focal lengths, 35mm, 50mm and 75mm, and you get 2 flare options. You can have the blue classic flare or the neutral flare, which I prefer because then say if you shoot the sun's going to give you an orange flare, as you can see here. You can get these lenses in various mounts, but I went for the Leica L mount because obviously then I can use it straight on my Leica cameras and Lumix cameras. The Sirui Saturn lenses replaced the former Venus lineup, which were much bigger and heavier. Now, thanks to the carbon fibre build, the weight of these lenses is around half that of the Sirui Venus lenses, and the filter thread is reduced from 82mm to now only 66mm. Unlike standard spherical lenses, anamorphic lenses have their focus ring on the front and the aperture ring on the back. The aperture ring is declick for video, and both rings have got teeth, which means you can use them with focus throws or like the autofocus LiDAR system from DJI. So, pros and cons of the Sirui Saturn. Pros: the low weight mean these lenses are easy to carry with you everywhere and pair really nicely with small cameras especially, such as the Lumix S9. These lenses are also so light you can even use them on gimbals such as the DJI Ronin 4D. These lenses are very affordable for an anamorphic lens, so they often run offers, so I'll put a link below so check the latest prices. Now in terms of cons, the minimum focus of this lens is 0.9 meters, which means it's not great to get close to your subject. Thankfully, it did push me to buy a diopter lens kit from Amazon. It's around £20. Again, I can put a link to that below. I'm using these filters on the lens all the time. Getting closer gives you that nicer bokeh ball, better subject background separation. It's just win-win-win. T2.9 isn't that fast for a maximum aperture, so it's not that great for low light use or for that big juicy bokeh balls. Finally, Sirui Saturn lenses are quite clinical compared to standard anamorphic lenses. It's maybe more similar to a spherical lens in terms of it lacks the imperfections found in more expensive anamorphic lenses, like perhaps a 10K Atlas Orion lens, for example. The good news is because they are so sharp, you can shoot these lenses wide open, no problem. To conclude this Sirui Saturn lens, this is perhaps the perfect introduction to anamorphic lenses. If you love the idea of anamorphic lens and want something even cheaper than the Sirui Saturns, definitely check out the Sirui Venus lenses or their Super 35 APS-C camera lenses. I spotted the Sirui Super 35mm lenses on Amazon, which have a maximum aperture of f1.8. I can put a link to that below. I picked one of those up when I saw the low price. I can use those in APS-C mode on the Leica SL2S. Leica versus Lumix for anamorphic lenses. Now you know I love my Leica cameras, but when it comes to anamorphics, Lumix cameras lead the way amongst all brands. Even things like Sony can't really compare to Lumix because not many brands offer the 6K open gate, which is better suited if you want to shoot with a 2x squeeze factor or perhaps a 1.6 squeeze factor. 1.3 squeeze lenses are fine for your standard 16:9 sensors, which are found in most mirrorless cameras, but if you are planning to eventually get to 2x squeeze factor, definitely try to get any camera that's got a 6K open gate, because otherwise you just end up with a really thin strip of video footage and massive black bars top and bottom. My plan is to use my 1.3 lenses on my Leica SL2S, and then I'm going to use my 1.6 squeeze lens on my Lumix S9 because that has the 6K open gate. Lumix cameras also offer you stabilization specifically for anamorphic lenses. You need to turn off your standard IBIS if you're using anamorphic lenses on, say, your Leica camera. Another benefit of Lumix cameras is they have the squeeze factor in camera, so then you don't need to use a monitor. I'll leave you now with a few more anamorphic lens clips from our bike ride. I'll put a link below to Patreon if you're interested and to the mentioned lenses, and hope to catch you in the next video.